Most people are familiar with the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. And while setbacks are a common occurrence in mixed martial arts, it's how an athlete deals with adversity that ultimately defines their legacies. So, for this video, we'll be taking a look at 10 title challengers who eventually went on to win UFC gold despite coming up short in their first attempt. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Now, without further ado, and ranked in no particular order, let's take a look at 10 future champions who lost their first shot at UFC gold. Number 10. Georges St Pierre. Even the most casual MMA fans know that Georges St Pierre is one of the greatest fighters to don a pair of 4-ounce gloves. That said, the two-division title holder faced a bit of adversity in the early stages of his career. Beginning with his professional debut, GSP was able to put together 7 consecutive wins. The undefeated prospect showed a great deal of talent while also generating plenty of buzz. As a result, St Pierre earned a shot at the vacant welterweight title at UFC 50 in October of 2004. His opponent would be a fellow legend and one of the pound-for-pound best in Matt Hughes. During the fight, Hughes managed to take the then 23-year-old Canadian down and secure a fight-ending armbar with just 1 second left in round 1. Though St Pierre suffered the first loss of his career, he continued to improve after the setback. When the two met for a second time roughly 2 years later at UFC 65, St Pierre had leveled up his game in a big way. Early into the second round, GSP landed a picture-perfect head kick that ultimately led to a TKO victory. With the win, St Pierre secured his first welterweight title. Number 9. Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson is best known for his remarkable run as UFC flyweight champion. However, before the promotion included the flyweight division, Mighty Mouse unsuccessfully challenged Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight strap. The two met in the center of the octagon at UFC Live Cruz vs Johnson in October of 2011. During the fight, Cruz managed to secure several takedowns and keep Johnson grounded for most of the contest. In the end, Cruz would earn a unanimous decision win to retain his bantamweight title. Of course, once the flyweight division was created, Demetrius Johnson would win a 4-way tournament to become the inaugural champion. Johnson would even proceed to defend the title a record-setting 11 times. Number 8. Daniel Cormier. Louisiana's Daniel DC Cormier has quite literally won a world championship in every promotion he's ever competed in. That said, the former Olympic wrestler would suffer the first professional loss of his career while attempting to capture a UFC title. Cormier's first shot at UFC gold would come around at UFC 182 in 2015. The man he would face for the light heavyweight crown would ultimately become his biggest rival, which was of course Jon Jones. While DC had his fair share of moments, Jon Jones managed to earn a fairly decisive unanimous decision victory. Unfortunately for Jones, he was forced to vacate the UFC light heavyweight championship due to some legal issues. With his nemesis out of the picture, DC was back into the title hunt. At UFC 187, the Louisiana native would defeat Anthony Rumble Johnson for the vacant light heavyweight crown. Daniel Cormier would go on to defend the title 3 times and eventually add the heavyweight championship to his collection. Number 7. Henry Cejudo. Like Daniel Cormier, Henry the Messenger Cejudo is also a former Olympian. With his world-class grappling pedigree, Cejudo enjoyed immediate success as a mixed martial artist. The Messenger won his first 10 professional bouts, setting the stage for a showdown with UFC flyweight champ Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson at UFC 197. While Cejudo was an intriguing prospect, Mighty Mouse wasn't ready to hand over the keys to the flyweight kingdom just yet. In the first round of the contest, Johnson landed a series of knees that ultimately led to a TKO stoppage. However, despite suffering the first loss of his career, the former gold medalist fought his way back into contention. Cejudo would once again face Johnson, who was still holding the flyweight strap, back at UFC 227 in 2018. Unlike the first bout, their second encounter turned out to be far more competitive. However, in the end, Cejudo avenged the loss via a hard-fought split decision victory. With the win, Cejudo became just the second flyweight title holder in UFC history. He would go on to capture the bantamweight title before ultimately retiring in May of 2020. Number 6. Valentina Shevchenko. As the daughter of a Muay Thai champion in Valentina Shevchenko, Valentina began training in mixed martial arts at just 5 years old. After several years of training, she would go on to become one of the most talented strikers in MMA. However, even a fighter as impressive as Valentina Shevchenko would fail to take the bantamweight title from Amanda the Lioness Nunes. Nunes. That said, the Muay Thai specialist would certainly give Nunes a run for her money at UFC 215. In a bout that featured the two best female fighters in the world, the Lioness managed to pick up a hotly contested split decision victory. From there, Shevchenko would drop down to flyweight, where she defeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the vacant title. Since winning the belt, she has become one of the promotion's most dominant champions. Number 5. Tito Ortiz. A trash talker who could often back up his words, Tito Ortiz became one of MMA's biggest early stars. Ortiz's first shot at becoming UFC champ occurred all the way back in 1999 at UFC 22. The man standing between him and UFC gold was the promotion's inaugural light heavyweight champion Frank Shamrock. While Tito Ortiz dominated most of the contest, Frank Shamrock was able to turn things around in the 4th round and secure a TKO victory. Following the bout, Shamrock would briefly retire and vacate the title in the process. As a result, Tito Ortiz faced off against Wanderlei Silva for the vacant strap at UFC 25. This time around, Ortiz was able to secure a unanimous decision win to become the new light heavyweight champion. He would even defend the title 5 times before losing it to Randy Couture in 2003. Number 4. Robbie Lawler. Ruthless Robbie Lawler is a fighter who has enjoyed a career full of ups and downs. While he unfortunately struggled under the Strikeforce banner, he was able to regain momentum once he returned to the UFC. After kicking off his second stint in the UFC with a string of impressive victories, the welterweight vet would square off against Johnny Hendricks for the promotion's vacant title at UFC 171. In a contest that earned Fight of the Night honors, Hendricks emerged the victor via unanimous decision. Despite the loss, Lawler would rattle off 2 more victories and wind up challenging Hendricks for a second time. The rematch turned out to be even more close than their first meeting. However, this time around, the Ruthless One managed to avenge his loss and become a world champion in the process. After defending his title in a pair of epic battles with Rory MacDonald and Carlos Condit, Lawler would drop the strap to Tyron Woodley at UFC 201. Number 3. Rose Namajunas. At just 28 years of age, Thug Rose Namajunas has already put together a resume worthy of Hall of Fame consideration. While her first official bout in the UFC was a title shot, her Octagon debut was a bout she'd probably rather forget. During the Ultimate Fighter finale, Rose Namajunas clashed with Carla Esparza for the opportunity to become the promotion's first strawweight champion. Unfortunately for Namajunas, Carla's grappling was too much to handle. That evening, Carla Esparza proceeded to secure a rear naked choke in the 3rd round, temporarily dashing Namajunas' hopes of becoming a champion. Over the next few years, Namajunas would continue to improve and re-enter the title picture. Roughly 3 years on from the Esparza fight, in November of 2017, the Ultimate Fighter finalist would finally get a second crack at the title. The woman holding it at the time was the then undefeated Joanna Jędrzejczyk. As an undefeated champion who had defended her title 5 separate times, Jędrzejczyk was a heavy favourite heading into their bout at UFC 217. Of course, Namajunas would shock the MMA world as she TKO'd the champ in round 1. Though she eventually lost her title, Rose Namajunas still remains a top contender in the division. Number 2. Francis Ngannou. Francis the Predator Ngannou has long been considered the hardest hitter in mixed martial arts. Despite his incredible power, it unfortunately wasn't enough to capture UFC gold in his first attempt. After finishing his first 6 opponents inside the octagon, Francis Ngannou was given the opportunity to fight heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic in January of 2018. When the two first squared off in the main event of UFC 220, it was Stipe's experience, wrestling and durability that earned him a dominant decision victory. Despite losing his next fight to Derek Lewis, Francis quickly regained momentum with a string of knockout victories. By finishing his next 4 opponents in the opening round, Ngannou once again solidified his place as the next man in line to challenge Miocic for the heavyweight crown. The two met for a second time in the main event of UFC 260. This time around, a more patient and calculated Ngannou was able to put Miocic away with a vicious KO in round 2, earning both revenge as well as a UFC title. Number 1. Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate vs Ronda Rousey would ultimately become the UFC's first female rivalry. The two had bad blood dating back to when they first competed in Strikeforce, and things only got worse when they served as opposing coaches on the 18th season of The Ultimate Fighter. Given their history, it was only fitting that Tate's first title shot would be against her longtime rival at UFC 168. While Tate would become the first woman to ever make it out of the first round with Rousey, the outcome was never really in doubt. In the end, Ronda Rousey managed to catch Tate with her signature armbar early into the 3rd round. Of course, the woman that Tate would face for her second shot at the gold was Holly Holm, who was fresh off of an upset win over Rousey. While many pundits believed that Miesha Tate would serve as a warm-up fight for Holm's eventual rematch with Rousey, Tate had other plans. Though Holm was winning the majority of the contest, Miesha Tate managed to rally in the 5th and eventually secure a rear naked choke. With the win, Miesha Tate finally realised her dream of becoming a UFC champion. As always guys, if you enjoyed the video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.